Hey, everybody, welcome. This is Dr. Levi, and welcome to our show. This is the Dr. Levi Show. Today is May 25th, 2016. Beautiful day here in Los Angeles. So I hope and believe that wherever you are right now, today, you're making it a great day. Remember, the day is really created with your thoughts and with your choices. So choose well and think only about the good, and that's what you invite into your life. Every day is really conspiring to be a good day for you. So if you believe that and expect that, you're going to get a lot of goodness. So I believe in you, and I want to thank you for joining us today. Lots to discuss as per usual. It's beautiful here in Los Angeles. A little bit overcast, but still, even when it's overcast in LA, it's still quite beautiful. A lot happening social media-wise. I want to thank all of you for joining me on YouTube. You know, we have right now over 2.4 million views on YouTube, which is just outrageous. I can't believe it. So I'm so grateful that all the videos, the educational videos, the instructional videos, the videos about repetitive stress injury, that they're really helping the community, specifically gamers or anyone that uses a mouse or a keyboard or does a lot of texting. These exercise videos, strengthening and stretching exercise videos will help you tremendously. And the goal, of course, is to do what you can to avoid injury and to not have problems with your hands or with your wrist. Excuse me. Now, the other thing I want to talk about are the Fitbits. Again, social media is all abuzz about Fitbits and all the other apps that we use to monitor how fit we're getting, how much weight we're losing, our heart rate. So the major Fitbit controversy now, and really with a lot of those devices, that they're not very accurate. And I want to say this, maybe they're not super accurate, but overall they serve a greater benefit. And what is that benefit? That benefit is the fact that they get people moving, they make people more aware of how important it is to exercise and to be cognizant of what you're doing to keep your body active. You know, and the odd thing about the Fitbit controversy is the following, and that is the attorneys for against Fitbit, they did a study, but the study was only done with 3 of the devices. And then they did ECGs, electrocardiograms, to compare those results to the Fitbits. And of course, they said they were off. Now you have to think about this. People that did the study, number one is how qualified were they to do the studies? Excuse me. How well calibrated were the machines? No, were the machines properly measured? I mean, there's so many variables in that. So I want to still send a shout out to Fitbit because I think, again, it has a greater purpose and a greater service to remind people how important it is to exercise and to do something. Other big things on social media right now in the news is now DeMarco. Now DeMarco, he actually won Dancing with the Stars last night. So fantastic. So very, very happy for you now. This is great. You know, you got to think, this is an athlete that went from the American Top Model winning that, and now he's won Dancing with the Stars. So it's really a phenomenal achievement. So now DeMarco, this is my American Sign Language, NYLE. We love you. So fantastic now. We're really, really happy for you. It's a great, great achievement. You have to think about it. This is an athlete who cannot hear the music at all, but is able to dance and to make it happen. So now just phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. As far as sports go, NBA, of course, you know, Oklahoma, they did it again to the Golden State Warriors. They took them down. And, of course, we have Cleveland and Toronto. They're tied 2-2. So I have a lot to say about sports, you know. As a sports junkie, when it comes to soccer, when it comes to football, American football, or any type of football, or just sports in general, I just totally addicted. I am. I just love working out because the key with working out and exercise, it reminds you that your body, you only have one body. It's your temple. So what do you have to do? You have to do the best that you can to be fit, to be healthy. And I want to remind you, too, that your body, you take it wherever you go. So don't be concerned about anybody else's body. Be concerned about your body. Be concerned about your nutritional decisions, what you're deciding to eat, how much you're exercising. Exercise is critical. It truly is. And then I want to respond to Gabby. Gabby asked me a question about a six-pack. How do you get a six-pack? Well, let me just tell you now. A six pack is easy to achieve. Having a six pack, that's easy. The issue is, how do you sustain it? How do you maintain it? Because everybody has a six pack. The issue here is, how much fat do you have over that six pack? That's the thing. And after you achieve a six pack, are you able to maintain it? That's the ticket. You want to be fit, you want to be healthy, you have to do a certain amount of aerobic activity every day. It's the aerobic activity that will show the six pack that we all have. We all have them. So the key here is eating properly, exercising daily, and more importantly, understanding that you are what you eat, you are what you drink, and you are what you smoke. So be careful about your choices about eating, drinking, and smoking, because your bodies reflect that. If you have great skin, well, you have great skin because you hydrate internally, because it's all about internal beauty reflecting external beauty. When it comes to beauty, I can't wait to tell you about our guest today. Our guest is someone who is iconic in the world of beauty, in the world of medicine, as well as media. He's really been a trailblazer with respect to merging medicine as well as media. And he's done it with such beauty and such ease. So he's going to come on shortly. I have a big surprise when I talk to him, because you have no idea what he's going to talk about. But I can tell you this, it's going to lift everybody's spirit, because he is a man of magnetism, of great, great reputation, and more importantly, he's someone who's about making a difference in the community and letting us be aware of our bodies, the beauty of the body aesthetically, as well as the beauty of the body internally. And all of those are very, very important. I also want to give a really great shout out to Dr. Lally over at Chino Valley Hospital for their donation and for support of the show. We're really, really grateful. You know, our show, the Dr. Levi Show, is about fitness, is about health, is about well-being. It's about bringing you people who are on the cutting edge of making a difference. Why? Because we want you to be educated. We want you to be inspired. We want you to be uplifted. We want you to know that you are uniquely qualified. You are already worthy. And every day that you're here to make the world a better place. You're not here by mistake or by default. It really doesn't work that way. The universe is conspiring for your greater good. The universe is conspiring to make you know, believe, and understand that you matter. Everybody is worthy, no matter how much money someone may have or their station in life or their socioeconomic status. That really doesn't matter. What does matter is that you believe in you. What does matter is that you know that this show, the Dr. Levi Show, is about elevation, is about inspiring, is about motivating and educating. And don't forget, with education, you can change your life. Education gives you the opportunity to not simply be chosen, but to also choose more. So I want you to prioritize that. Education is the key. Now, again, I want to thank all of our YouTube family. You know, again, over 2.4 million views. What can I say? All I can say is thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so grateful to be of service. I'm grateful that the show is respected, that you appreciate the content, and more important, you know that this show is about making a difference in your life. What can I do for you to help you prevent repetitive stress injury? What can I do to remind you that you matter? And one other question too. You know, it was Sandra in New York. You asked a question about prosperity and what do I think about the laws of attraction. So I want to give you my thoughts about that. That is the following. I think we do attract to us what we are and what we think. So when it comes to money, we only get what we're willing to give away. So if you want more love in your life, give more love. You want more forgiveness, give more forgiveness. You want more money, give it away, and trust me, the universe will bless you with more than you can count and even imagine. But you have to know that internally you are worthy. And again, the universe is conspiring for your greater good. It's conspiring to make every day for you a phenomenal day, a great day. Every day should be better than the last day. But you have to ask yourself, are you giving? Or are you a taker? My father was so clear about saying that it's important to live right in the center there. When it comes to giving and receiving, you want to be someone who gives appropriately and receives. You know, I had to learn that because I'm really just a giver. I love giving, giving, giving. And when I first started my practice, you know, I gave away 78% of my practice initially for the first 2 years because I thought, you know what, I have to give, give, give. And then finally, when I wasn't able to pay the rent or pay my employees, it was like, wait a second, Levi. Wait a second, homie. You got to back it up, brother. you have to make money to give money. Because the great thing about money is very empowering. But it's also important to understand how you give it away. Because, again, you only get what you're willing to give away. It's so very, very true. So, Sandra in New York, I hope that's helpful for you. But again, I recommend writing down your affirmations. An affirmation like, I am worthy, that the universe is conspiring for me, that every day is a day of opulence, truth, and prosperity, that I am prosperity. I embody prosperity. Prosperity is my birthright. I believe when you live in that knowingness and you live in the light of giving that way, you get it back. So, Sandra, I hope that helps you. Now, I want to talk about the Olympics, which will be in Rio. And speaking of Rio, guess what, everybody? We have someone, I'll give you a guess. This is the hint today. 90210. Any ideas? So let me tell you, today I want to welcome on our show a man who has broken many, many barriers, an outstanding surgeon, a colleague, and someone who really makes a difference not only in the medical centers around the world, but he makes a difference here in Los Angeles, in Beverly Hills, as well as internationally. I want to thank Dr. 90210, Dr. Robert Ray, for being with us. Hey, Dr. Ray.
Dr. Levi, congratulations on all your success.
Oh, thank you.
Guys, I'll tell you the truth about the medical world, okay? It's very difficult to get into plastic surgery, but there's only one thing more difficult than getting into plastic surgery. It's orthopedics. Those guys are so freaking smart. It's only one or two in the entire medical class that might have a chance to be an orthopedic surgeon. So, doctor, you did the impossible. It's impossible to get into orthopedics.
I'm really grateful. You know,
so I want to applaud you.
Well, thank you, Dr. Ray. I really look at it as a place of service. You know, medicine is really about service. I think we're gifted with so much financially, so why not give back? And why not, more importantly, be involved in the community as a physician as well as an advocate? And you do the same thing.
You know what? I, like you, found, I was born in this little home here in Brazil.
Yes.
The same water we drank was the same water we put in the toilet. There were no lights. It was all candle.
Yes.
My mom stayed up awake every night because there's so many holes in this hut.
Yes.
That the bats will come in, vampire bats.
Right.
So my mom had to swat them away from the kids, and so I didn't know anything about money, you know.
Right.
But you and we became financially independent.
Absolutely. From struggle. We came from struggle, but we made our struggle into something better.
I snuck into a Norwegian ship in the port of Brazil.
Yes.
By the time the captain discovered me, I was already at high seas.
Right.
I remember the day he stopped the ship at high seas.
Really?
He had a choice. Throw that little wetback over the overboard.
Right.
Or take that brother all the way to New York. He took me to New York. He just dumped me in New York.
Really?
So it's struggle from the very essence
Yes.
of brutal struggle.
Yes.
But you and I finally became financially independent.
Yes.
Can I tell you something, you guys?
Absolutely.
I didn't buy the rope until the day I became a multimillionaire.
Right.
I remember my little. I can be a doc. I'm talking to another doctor.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And I overcome that, but I didn't buy the rope until I became a multimillionaire. I have 100 clinics all over the world.
Right.
You know, Dr. Ray Shapewear at Sears made $100 million.
Right, phenomenal.
I became so sad. It turns out the scriptures were correct. How's that possible? Those little Jewish guys, 5,000 years ago knew something.
Yes.
And doctor, to come in, I thought I was going to be talking about butts, and I'm sure we'll touch on butts,
we'll
thank
talk
God.
about that, absolutely.
But such philosophy, doctor,
thank you.
is sine qua non with
Thank
an
you.
orthopedist.
Well, I'm really grateful.
Which is the brightest group in all of medicine.
Well,
and how
I'm
refreshing that you started first with inner beauty, which
absolutely.
really is the key, you guys. So I say, you know what? I'm probably going to get a shot in Brazil. I love the Apache. The Apaches say it's not just living well, you have to die well.
Absolutely.
So finally, I decided I'm going to go back. I saw a wonderful thing in America.
Yes.
The American system, we love to criticize it, but Doctor, you're an extremely educated man.
Yes, I am.
Nowhere in history is there a system like the American system.
Nowhere.
And it's very, very derogatory. In our community, we use the word wetback, but I'm literally a wetback. I swam and got into a cargo ship, a banana boat, by the way. And I made it to America.
Yes.
You guys, the phenomenon which is America doesn't exist anywhere in history
Nowhere.
or in the world.
Nowhere.
So when I realized that money was not the answer, as you realize,
Yes,
luckily
very much
you
so.
understood that early on. I
Very
didn't
much
understand
so.
that until I became a millionaire.
Yes.
And I bought the rope. Did I already mention the rope?
Yes, you did.
I decided, instead of I'm a very religious man as you are,
Yes.
I'm never going to use this rope because it's contrary to the teachings of our Lord.
Absolutely.
And it's cowardice. And so I threw the rope away and I said, you know what? Instead, I'm going to give my life to bring this equality, which we
Absolutely.
it's no preference system, you guys.
None.
But America is so egalitarian. And I want to take this system to Brazil.
Yes.
So I'm actually running for I'm running for Brazilian president.
It's fantastic. Dr.
Benjamin
Ray.
Carson, slightly different politics,
Yeah,
but Benjamin
different.
Carson
Right.
was my teacher. I did a neuro
A neuro
clerkship
with him?
on Wall Street
Yes.
at Johns Hopkins.
Yes.
And, we never talked about neuro, he and I.
Really?
But we spent the whole day talking about politics.
That's very powerful.
So I was in that first Siamese twin he separated in 1987.
Yes.
I was in that room.
That was a major happening in medicine when that happened. That really
I was
changed.
in that room. And he set the seed in my heart. Ray, you're Latino. Why don't you return to your nation and help your people?
Right.
And so speaking of Rio, I'm running for Brazilian president, which is 2018.
Yes.
I don't know, probably get shot before.
Oh, no,
But-
don't say that. Don't say that.
Brazil is the most corrupt nation in the world. I love my people.
Yes.
I love my people.
Well, I wanna
They're
go there.
sexy people. But it's corrupt.
I want to hear about this, Doctor. I want to hear about your life growing up with your family, with your mom, your dad, your brothers and sisters. What was that like? What were those challenges like growing up?
You're 2.5 million, doctor. It suddenly makes sense. I was looking at the statistics this morning. Who has 2.5 million? And I just walk in the room and I feel great energy.
Well, great.
We Latino people are not ashamed. It's the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
I walk in this room and I can feel the Spirit. You and I have
Great.
operated.
Yes, we know
with the
deal.
Spirit.
Absolutely, always.
My dad was American.
Yes.
American Latino. Truman wrote him a letter thanking him for helping as an engineer like you are.
Yes.
And helped develop the bombing site for the B-17.
Yes.
My father had a little weakness, which I see my own son. He loved beautiful women.
Yeah. Yes.
Of course, skip the generation, but no. He loves beautiful women.
Yes.
And my father was the Dayton-Patterson Air Force field, Of
Yes.
course, it's the biggest Air Force field in America. And my dad was an engineer for the American Air Force. Was
Yes.
a war hero. And started dating a beautiful woman.
Yes.
It turned out she was a German spy.
Really?
So my father ran away under small hand fire
Yes. Yes.
by the American Secret Service to Brazil. And he hid away in Brazil.
Okay.
There, he married a Brazilian,
This is your mom.
my mom.
Yes.
So here they are. My dad was a good guy.
Right.
But he had this weakness for pretty women,
Yes. Yes.
which I'm sure it never bothers you, doctor. You look like a player.
Dr. Ray.
Let me reverse that. What orthopedist is not a player? No, just kidding. You remember medical school.
Dr. Ray.
We love their neurosurgeons, but they were a little bit nerdy. The plastic surgeons were on their own left field. You look at the Museum of Art, but the orthopods,
Yeah. Oh, Dr. Ray. Stop it, Dr. Ray.
right? They're personality types. They go to various fields.
This is true.
Anyhow, so my father was, was a handsome Latin guy,
Yes.
but he had this penchant for beautiful women, and
Yes.
it got him to a lot of trouble with it. There were no CIA at the time, but he got a lot of trouble with the American Secret Service.
Yes.
And he ran away to Brazil. And here's my dad.
It's a great picture. Yeah, great picture of him. Yep.
Cool Latin brother, but he was a monster, basically. A war changed them. They come back changed. Very sad.
He had like post-traumatic stress disorder.
Big
you
time.
think? Really?
So one time I broke into his room, and he had ripped off all the walls of this little hut.
Yes.
And he put steel plating. I got into his closet. Kids get into your things.
Of course.
And I found a bunch of machine guns, a lot of the military knives, a lot of pistols. This is in South America.
Really?
Poor guy, he was changed. War changed these people.
Right,
And
right, it
we
does.
as physicians understand
We do.
PTSD.
Absolutely.
So he was a monster, and my mom kind of raised us, and so it wasn't a good beginning, Doc. I don't know how your beginning was, but it wasn't too good.
Mine were tough. My beginnings were tough too, because my dad was an alcoholic, and he used to beat the hell out of my mom, like pretty often. But in retrospect now,
How about you?
I look. Oh,
I
he
see
beat
your
us
legs
also.
shaking suddenly.
Oh, he beat us also.
Seems one doctor doctoring the other. Right? What happens in that situation? One doctor doctors the other.
Well, it's good that we're both here.
Look at his body language. When I spoke about his dad, suddenly he crossed his arms. We surgeons, we take a lot of classes in psychiatry.
We do actually,
Because, at least certainly my field, 15% of
Yes.
the people that show up to plastic surgery have a mental illness, sadly.
Right.
Most of the time it's neuroses, but sometimes it's psychoses. So
and you also
we have to
see
weed it out.
And you see body dysmorphic disorder also, I'm sure.
I see. We go toe to toe. Of those neuroses, a significant percentage of those patients have body dysmorphia.
Absolutely.
Doctor, don't do. See? Can you notice he's just edging me a little bit on on the intelligence case? He's just edging me a little bit. I told you orthopods are smarter. I told you. You're gonna see there's a slight difference. Now, we plastic surgeons, we're smart.
Absolutely.
But orthopods, people, I'm not kidding. They're AOA, which means alpha, omega, alpha. They're the top 3% of the class. And here's a medical school class. Everyone was valedictorian in their college. Every person in that class, pretty much, was a valedictorian. So in a group of 150 valedictorians, the orthopods rise to the top 3%. Plastic surgeons are 4%, but
too much, Dr. Well, tell me this. What was your mom like? What was your mother like?
my mom,
Real loving caregiver.
you guys, if I sound too Latin-y, would you forgive me? I arrived in America.
You sound
So
great.
America is, I arrived in America shortly after Martin Luther King was shot.
Yes.
It was a different America.
Very different.
So they told me right to my face, Ray, you're not to speak your language, and you're not to eat your native foods. And one time I snuck out and ate some beans, and I got caught. So it was a different America. So I keep building up America, but the America I came to in the early 70s was different.
Right.
America. So I wouldn't look Americans in the eyes. I would look to the floor. Not because the Americans said I was inferior. It was worse. I knew I was inferior. So
And why did you think, Dr. Ed, you were inferior? What was the internal clock that made you feel that way?
it goes back to even Brazil. Americans, they had shortly defeated the Axis in World War II, and you know what? There was racism against the Afro Americans.
Yes.
But when they looked at us, I'll give you the look that they used to give me. Is this look?
Really?
Their eye literally penetrated your cranium.
Right.
It came out of your occiput. It's not that you. Can I swear on the show or no? It's not that you were a piece of crap. It's not like a piece of shit.
Right.
You just don't exist.
Right.
So I'd rather be a piece of shit than not exist.
Right.
And when I came to America, we didn't exist. We didn't exist.
Really?
And so if today I bring up the word Latin every phrase, it took 20 years for me to stop hating that boy in the mirror.
Right.
Did you understand?
I do understand.
So when I looked in the mirror, I just saw a little wetback that should be cleaning hotel rooms and not trying to be a doctor.
Right.
So
no job is important than another job. If someone is cleaning a hotel room, or if someone's a physician or a dog walker, no job is better than no one else.
No, but they would tell me to my face, Doc. They would
Really?
say, I dreamed to be a doctor, in a broken English. And they would say, well, but you have to be smart to be a doctor. And I think they were basing that off my
Skin tone?
skin tone.
Really?
I don't know where they determined
Really
that I was
unfortunate.
not smart,
Right.
So today I bring up, it took me a lifetime. And you kind of open up the show with, affirmations and things like that.
Oh,
it took a
absolutely.
lifetime
To
to
feel
be able to
go there.
not hate that boy in the mirror.
Right.
That little wetback in the mirror. So today I bring up Latin all the time. And I just want to say something about Latin women.
Yes.
They are, I was adopted by, a Mormon mom. And she was a wonderful mom.
Yes.
She took all her kids off their rooms and gave all the rooms to us Latinos.
And this is when you were in Utah.
Yeah, he did his homework. You see now. So was adopted by once I arrived in America by Mormons.
Right.
And people, I don't know, make fun of these American religions: Quaker, Amish, Mormons, Seventh-day Adventist. I don't know why people make so much fun of these people. They were very good to me. They ripped their kids out of their beds, put us in their kids' rooms. We didn't know hygiene. I'm sorry, doctor. It was Brazil was very third world.
Right.
We took one shower every 2 weeks.
Right.
I didn't know hygiene. I'm sorry.
Right. Just didn't know.
And so we stunk. We looked funny. We spoke funny. And those Mormons raised us. And dad, he would take me snowshoeing. I don't think my dad knew my birthday, my biological father.
Really?
But my American dad hugged me like his son.
Right.
And to this day, I can't comprehend that's possible. They were middle class. They had 9 kids, Mormons.
Right.
And they adopted 4 more Latinos. And I never saw that family fight. And that dad would go out with me and my siblings like I was his blood.
So he truly
you
loved
guys,
you.
I'm so patriotic. Even though I'm running for Brazilian president, I have a patriotism towards America.
Of course.
Which enters the psychopathological. Because I saw Americans are so honest. Right. The problem with Brazil, we're good people, we're loving people, we're happy people.
Right.
But there's a little bit of a dishonesty in our government, and it's permeated a little bit.
But you want to go there and make a change.
I'm bringing the American system to Brazil.
Right.
Yes,
right.
I am.
So you want to bring even greater integrity. You want to bring a greater sense of
the
of
American
truth.
honesty. Americans are so honest. You go to the newspaper bin and you put a quarter. You can take all the newspapers, but the American only takes one.
True.
I never seen a dishonest American. It's possible. I never seen it.
Right.
And they're kind.
Right.
And they help everyone.
Absolutely.
Their system, I know we criticize it every day, but 17 families basically hold 70% of the gross national product of Brazil. What?
17.
Between the richest...
That's
again,
pretty
orthopedic
amazing.
people, the doctor kind of plays it down. Let me tell you the salary of an orthopedic surgeon.
Dr. Ray. Dr. Ray.
It's about 2.5 million, okay? So forget the radio shows and there's books and endorsements. So, but you see... in Dr. Levi, just such a humility, and this sine qua non for Americans. Yes. And there's not much difference between the very rich and the very poor in America. That is not the case in Brazil.
Right.
If you were born, my mom cleaned bathrooms, for the prefecture. Basically, I was destined to be a bathroom cleaner too.
But you changed that. You changed that. And when in your mind you think there was...
quite literally.
When was that seed in you to make that change? Because you went from Utah to Phoenix, correct?
I went from Utah to Phoenix. I like him. Seeing very few reporters come this prepared. They do wiki. most presenters, they do a 5-minute Wikipedia, and they're not ready.
I don't do that. I do the research.
But you're very large, like an orthopedic surgeon.
Well, thanks.
You're very strong, doctor.
Thanks, Dr. Ray. So in Phoenix, you made the transition to say, hey, I want to make a difference and go into medicine?
Yeah. The difference was when I was in my Brazilian ghetto, and I hope you guys are following my new show on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
We're
going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Netflix, of course, the largest channel in the world, 46 million.
Yes.
I was on E, very, very happy to be on E. E's about 1 million at that time. And I took the cameras back, and I wanted to show people. So, once again, coming back to the Americans, we keep coming back to 2 things, Latino and American.
Right.
The American, if I say gringo, by the way, gringo is not a bad word in Portuguese. I'll give you an example. Enfocar in Spanish means to pay attention. In Portuguese, it's very bad. It means to choke. Of course, when the American Army came across New Mexico, looking for Pancho Villa, the Mexicans saw green outfits, and they said gringo. But gringo in Portuguese means just happy foreigner.
Okay.
So if I slips out, remember, in Portuguese, it means something totally different, as it does totally different in Italian, okay?
Right. It's not a pejorative term.
It is very pejorative in Spanish. Okay, but it's not in Portuguese, okay?
Yes.
So basically, it's kind of starting to sound like we have the same beginning.
Oh, very similar.
When the Americans knocked on my ghetto door, favela is a Brazilian ghetto, as you know. In those days, America basically ran Brazil. So CIA was everywhere. And I was a petty thief. I've been to jail twice. Brazilian ghetto is a little different.
Now, when you look back at your life and say that, you can say that, wow, I was actually was born or from a Brazilian ghetto, as you said, and now at your life now, what do you think made the bridge there? You think it was your
Here's
faith?
the bridge.
Do you think it
Are
was
you ready?
your work ethic, your dreams, your ability to say, you know what, I'm from that, but I'm not of that? What for you made that transition? I want to hear that.
It's so easy to love you, doctor. I find that. I had a very bad father for many years. Everything in my life was female.
Yes.
My profession is very feminine. It's 96% female.
Yes.
Every animal, I took an obsessive degree. Every animal in my house was female.
Yes.
I asked God for 3 little girls. But one beautiful day, God knew me, and He sent me a little boy.
Right. That's little Robbie.
So little Robbie.
Yes.
So I had this deep-seated hate for men for a long time. I don't want to go into details because it's too much reality. My father had another problem, which I don't want to bring up.
Sure.
And so I had deep-seated hate for men, and until God sent me this beautiful little boy, and I slowly learned to like men. So I say this from somebody who for many years didn't like men.
Right.
You're very easy to love, doctor. And I
Thanks,
think
doctor.
our beginning is the same.
Very similar.
One day, the Americans knocked on my door, and there's so many little favela doors. Why did he knock on my door?
Right.
I took the show back, and I asked that rhetorical question. If he had gone to the right, I'd be dead in Brazil because all my little ghetto friends all have been shot by Brazilian police.
Really?
Brazilian police, they shoot first and they ask questions later.
Wow.
You know, it's a death squad.
Right.
And if you look to the left, they could have knocked on my left. No, but the Americans knocked on my door. I opened the door thinking, where's the .40? You know, Brazil, we don't use 9mm.
Right, exactly.
We go from cannon up.
Oh, yeah. Right.
So I'm thinking, where's my .40? Anyhow, I opened the door, and there are 2 tall Americans.
Yes.
Skinny. I never seen blue eye like that.
Right.
Today, Brazil is more heterogeneous, but in those, Brazil is basically an African country.
Yes.
So I opened, I saw these blue eyes, which I'd never seen before. I have a little yellow on my hair here, but I pay for this. It comes from a can.
Right.
But these American boys, I thought it was so odd because they had yellow growing from their cranium.
Right.
I thought it was so odd. And I thought, oh, CIA, here they are. And they're really tall, like 2 meters tall.
Right.
And they finally says, we're from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Right.
And the American, they sat down with us, and they said, Ray, it's not ha, symbolically, but you're literally the Son of God. The creature that made 1 billion planets
Exactly.
is literally your Father.
Right.
So when you say our Father in heaven at night, it's not a ha. It's for real. He made you.
Right.
Therefore, everything is possible. And that was the
Everything.
moment that we all have that moment.
Yeah,
that epiphany.
The epiphany, exactly. That light bulb moment. Right.
You mean I'm not a piece of shit?
No, you're not. No, you're not. You are worthy.
When he said that, I realized, and I stuttered, and sometimes you can hear a little bit of that. I was buck-toothed, I was ugly, and I have a picture at the brim. Look at this little wet back here. Look at that.
Dr. Ray.
Look at this thing. I stuttered. I was an asthmatic.
Right.
Right there. You see?
Yes. We see it.
I was scrawny. And that day, when that American said that to me,
That was a life
it
changing.
changed me.
Yes.
And every day I stood a little taller. And every day I dream a slightly bigger dream.
Right.
You know, today I'm not going to rob with the other kids.
Right.
Today I'm
Gonna do something different.
I'm going to look heavenwards.
Absolutely,
You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
Because we're taught to look horizontal, but very rarely do we look upwards.
Right.
And I started looking upwards, and I stood up a little taller, and I say, you know what? Maybe I can study, because I was the last one to read in my little Brazilian ghetto school. And I started reading books about successful people.
Yes.
And I noticed about this Harvard thing. I didn't know what it was. You know, John F. Kennedy, of course, we Latinos worship John F. Kennedy. And I noticed that all these guys went to Harvard. And I said, someday, as I started to raise my head,
Yes.
this thing called Harvard, someday I'm going to it.
Right.
I told my mom, she had a good laugh. She says, poor boys like you don't go to Harvard.
But you wanted to do it.
So the day I graduated from Harvard,
Right.
bitches,
Dr. Ray, you're too much.
Oh, you said I could get a little hoodie here, man. You know what? Serious people, we doctors, we learn our language.
Oh, yes.
And Dr. Levi learned that language too.
Absolutely.
And doctors today are hated worldwide because we are taught that there's a certain arrogance in medical school. I love my fellow colleagues, the generation I went through in the 80s, we were taught that medicine is a business.
Right.
Yeah, the Dr. Levi and I, we didn't go into medicine for business. We were smart. We could have been bankers.
Absolutely.
We love people.
Yes, we do.
And I was a little thrown off by what they were teaching me in medical school. Rate faster. Each patient represents $1. So today, doctors are hated everywhere because of the arrogance we were taught in the 80s in medical school.
Right.
And one time I walked up to a guy. I said, I like that girl. And she looks at me, Ray, but she doesn't go to Harvard. That arrogance got doctors hated worldwide. Even in Brazil, they're hated. So, you guys, let's love our patients.
Absolutely. And love each other.
If you want to make money, be a banker.
Right.
We end up making money because what we do is very sacred.
It's lucrative.
But
it's also
I don't care
a
how much I make. I know it's a lot, but I don't care.
But it's also a responsibility that the more we make, then what do we do with that money? Do we do it to make a difference in our communities? Are we advocates? Dr. Ray.
I was going to give my life for my people. From nothing I came, to nothing I want to return.
Right.
And I don't know how much I make. I think it's good. I live in a big house, but although
but you're a happy man.
GPS
though.
on my Italian car today doesn't have a Gower on it.
Does
the word
not.
Gower. How's that
really?
possible?
We're right here on Gower and Sunset.
Yeah, the Italian GPS doesn't have a Gowan. Anyhow, I have Italian cars, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to die during free surgery in the Amazon. If I don't get shot by the communists first.
Hopefully you won't get shot.
Communists first. But basically, I think it's the same as you.
Yes. I want to hear about
I discovered that I'm son of God. And once you know you're the son of God, everything's possible.
Absolutely. I want to hear about your journey through medical school. How did you think that, I want to not simply do medicine, but be a surgeon and then be a plastic surgeon? Because you have to really make that decision. It's not an easy decision in medicine.
You know what? For many years, I felt very apologetic about being Brazilian. We are the most immoral people on earth. and we own it now. But I'm just joking, guys. But we are very sensual people,
right?
And if you look at plastic surgery, most of it was developed by Brazilian plastic surgeons. Look at tummy tuck, basically, developed by Pitangui, a Brazilian plastic surgeon. If you look at the vertical lift, basically developed by a Brazilian plastic surgeon. We developed most of plastic surgery.
Right.
So for me to go into something sensual made sense because I'm Brazilian,
right?
And but before you criticize us, remember Brazilians we're the same age in the United States. We never started a war, and it's not Brazilian Japanese. It's not Afro-Brazilian. It's just Brazilian.
Period. What does your family think about your great success? What does your family think about what you've accomplished? Because you've done so much. You've really been a trailblazer.
It's frowned upon in my culture. So
is it really?
I no longer really communicate with my family that much. I help support them, but this mad ambition is kind of frowned upon in our community. And
well, you've done so much in so many communities, though. That I'm surprised that's not lauded and appreciated and uplifted.
It's not, right? So I'm here with Janet, who I think is you are the director of the show.
She's the manager.
And she'll be very quick to admit that for many, many centuries and many decades, ambition was frowned upon in the Latin community. So I think that's kind of responsible for the fact. It's not that we're lazy. It was. Gosh, I hate even to say it. It was part of our religion. Not the religion I'm present, but it was, I think, a little bit of our original religion.
Really?
So I went into plastics to answer your first question because we Brazilians we're sensual and
you like the aesthetic, the beauty.
Sexuality for us is not a bad thing,
right? And it shouldn't be.
And number one, I love people like you, Dr. Levi. We just love people.
I'm grateful
and
for
that. For me, sometimes I used, how do you say bisturi in English? Scalpel. I use a scalpel to build self-esteem, but sometimes it's a hug. Right. Sometimes it's a smile.
Absolutely.
And I have the highest rejection on earth. I reject 90% of the patients that approach me for plastic surgery.
It's the best thing.
So sometimes, she had 5 kids. She breastfed each one 2 years. Those beautiful breasts are down on her knees. Sometimes, and we don't belittle women.
Of course not.
And sometimes, our sharp knife will build self-esteem.
Absolutely.
But sometimes it's just a hug. Sometimes just a little laser. Sometimes you're just changing their diet. I see you wrote a diet book.
Yeah,
a
diet,
fitness book.
exercise, exactly.
Sometimes all I do is just give them a book. I said, look, I do the paleo diet. Try this.
That's what I use. I use
right,
paleo.
of course.
Yeah.
The only diet that works. So,
Exactly.
In plastic surgery, as an orthopedics, it's hands-on.
Absolutely.
And we basically build self-esteem.
I want to know, what do you think your legacy will be? When the clock has been flipped and it's like, Dr. Reed born here, leaving here. What do you think the great legacy that you will leave behind for your children, for your family, and for the world?
I noticed that, and I do a lot of free missions in Israel.
Yes.
And if you haven't had a chance, Doc, to
I
go
want to
Israel,
go. I've heard Jerusalem is spectacular.
And Rambam also.
I've heard
in
the same.
Haifa.
Yes.
It's a free hospital there, and I'm sure they need a great orthopedist. So well trained. Gosh, Indiana. Wow. It's great orthopedics there in Indiana, doctor. Anyhow, Rambam, which is in Haifa, I do a lot of surgeries there. My gosh, I was so busy complimenting you because all plastic surgeons are orthopedists by.
Very true. That's very true.
And I forgot where I was going with this for a second, doctor. But anyhow, giving back is very, very, very important. I go there is very, very dangerous. Sometimes our bus gets shot, and it's just giving back. That's the giving back is what you start out the show with. That's very, very important. I finally found happiness, and I will never have to buy another rope.
Right, exactly.
My legacy, yes. So I'm in Israel, and I have an opportunity to walk many. I don't know if you're a Muslim or if you're Jewish or Christian. And the nice thing about Israel, it is all three.
Absolutely, everything is there.
So sometimes I'm walking where Moses walked, and sometimes walking where Jesus walked, and it really strikes me at that moment when they bring Mary Magdalene to Jesus.
Yes.
And the law at the time said she was a prostitute.
Yes.
And that she would be stoned by the ancient Israeli law. And I like what Jesus said, what Jesus did, first of all, doctor.
Yes.
As I've seen you demonstrate today, you are in the most competitive field in medicine, in the most competitive country in the world. You're a millionaire, and yet your humility, it's of a biblical proportion, doctor. Look, I can't even give a compliment. I mean, he won't accept it.
Thanks, Dr.
The humility I've seen with you today, doctor, is of biblical proportions.
Well, thank you, Dr.
And returning to Jesus in that moment,
yes,
when they bring Mary Magdalene to him,
yes,
and she was, and somebody yells out, "Well, she was caught in the very act of prostitution, Jesus," and our law says he should be stoned.
Right.
What say ye, Master? And they're making fun of him by calling him Master, Rabbi. He drops to his knees below the prostitute.
Right.
That's so important.
It's very powerful.
Because, we Latinos, especially Brazilians, when I had a little attack of the low self-esteem, and I write that in my book, which I brought for you today. It's coming in October in English, my autobiography. I'm sorry, world, and I'm sorry, universe. I had a weak moment, and I slept with 5 Brazilian girls all at once.
Yes.
And I imagine explaining this to my Mormon bishop. I mean, he said, but Ray, there are 10 orifices. I don't want to give him the Brazilian breakdown. Bishop, girl A kisses girl B. Forget it, Bishop. So, yes. And I imagine maybe you stumble, doctor, and we all have our weakness. Mine is very typical of Latinos, the sensuality.
Yes. And
what will be my legacy? I like that Mary Magdalene was one of Jesus' best disciples.
Absolutely.
He didn't pick. Notice that he didn't pick the perfect of the time.
No, not at all.
The Sanhedrin came to him at night. Was a good guy, but he didn't choose him.
Right.
He chose the broken people.
Exactly.
Because, doctor, I think when we hit the rock bottom, we learn humility.
Absolutely.
It is not so much of our success, doctor, humility.
No. Right.
And in that moment, when I felt so much darkness, because I slept with 5 girls at the same time.
Yes.
Imagine that. I found my God even more, and I found, I hope, humility. And that's why I go to the scariest places in the world, like Israel, like Brazil, where I'm...
Because you do a lot of great work there.
Sure.
Right.
You know, I'm going to die a violent death. Let's admit it, doctor. I'm taking American honesty to a communist country. I'm going to be shot in Brazil, you guys. But I hope my legacy will not be the moments I stumbled, as I just brought up, and
Absolutely.
I bring up in my autobiography, but will be that Ray was honest.
Right.
He was psychotically honest. He helped a lot of people, and he died for his people.
Right.
I hope that's my legacy.
Well,
And he was a good father.
I think someone like yourself, who is really so committed to making a difference, who really lives in a place of authenticity and integrity, and is really aware that your skills are given to you, but you don't own them. They are to be of service to other people. And I think you epitomize the fact that in giving, we're blessed with even more. And you're doing that. You're living that life.
Doc, you know what? I'm not ashamed to say this. I have started every one of my surgeries from my residency days. When one time, you remember these days,
Yes,
it was Saturday
I
night,
do.
12 o'clock at night, first gunshot, went to Professor Chief Resident.
Yes.
Then the second gunshot at 1:30 at night, went
Yes.
to the last professor, and the R4. Now it's 3:30 in the morning. It's a knife and gun
I
day,
remember.
a knife and gun night.
Yes.
And the nurse gives you that look. You know, she didn't even say it. She says, Ray, you're up. But I'm at R3. I never done the operational laparotomy
You have to now.
enterotomy. And it was that moment I took the man to surgery. You know, who am I to judge him? I mean,
Right.
I was a petty thief too.
Just to be of service.
Right, and his brother had, Latin brother, he had 32 knife wounds in his belly. His belly was blue, 19-year-old. He's dying. Somebody
Yes.
hit the vena cava.
Wow.
He is dying. So I have 6 minutes. I get up there. It's not a dear Father in heaven. It was like a man talking to a man. God, guide my hands.
Exactly.
Because I'm going to kill this man. I'm going to finish what the gangsters didn't do.
Right.
And it was that moment I felt the Holy Spirit. I was able to cure this man. I prayed every operation I've ever done, doctor. And he says that I'm the most recognized plastic surgeon in world history.
Oh, that's for sure.
All over the world. So, like you, it was not my skill. It was from the Holy Spirit.
Absolutely.
And I begged it from God in the darkest, scariest moments in surgery. And I never had a death. I've only had 5 infections and 33,000 operations. The busiest guy in the world, 100 clinics. Yes. It was not my skill.
Right.
I asked God to help me.
And he did.
And he did.
And you deserve it. You truly deserve it. I mean, I think you really are at the forefront of reminding people that in giving, you get so much more back. But giving feels so
and
good.
reinforce that today, doctor. So I was going to give my life, but you reinforce just giving in general. So people, my number is 310-205-3107.
And what about the website, your social media platforms?
It's
What are they?
drrobertray.com. But the most important, you guys, it's all done by publicists. But the one that's me is my Instagram, Dr. Robert Ray. Any question you have, please ask. And my office number is 310-205-3107. You know, we do happy things. Your little butt gets flat. We make these wonderful butts with stem cells.
You have everything there.
Your
You have
breast today,
laser.
we're doing stem cells for your breast today. We do the regular implants, the tummy tucks. You can't find our incisions. So, motherhood is very, very difficult for women. Come on in. And our hermanos, our brothers, the man, is very competitive. It's a bad economy. You got a little bag in your eyes. Come on in and see me. You got a double chin. You feel nervous about the young guy that knows computers better than us. Come on in. We'll make you look cooler. And build that self-esteem.
Well, I thank you, Dr. Ray, for being here. This was fantastic.
Doctor, I learned a lot from you today.
Well, I thank you, Dr. Ray.
Levi, it's amazing. You
Well,
live
thank
what you preach.
Well, I do. Thank you.
Your reputation, who you are, the same. That's very rare.
Well, thank you, Dr. Ray. I'm very, very grateful.
Thank
Well,
you.
you guys heard it from the great Dr. Robert Ray, plastic surgeon emeritus, phenomenal human being, phenomenal person on the planet who's really making a difference. So I want everyone to really reach out to his Instagram. Again, it's Dr. Robert Ray, and that's Ray with the E. And just know that he's someone who truly makes a difference in the world. And more importantly, if you need a change of your face, of your buttocks, of your breasts, if you have a scar that needs to be revised, if you need your chin or nose done or redone or double redone, guess what? Dr. Ray, he's the guy that can do it with
But
minimal
really, butts are
scarring.
in style. So come on in.
s-
We do stem
buttocks.
cells, no incision. Butts are in style, you guys. I'm Brazilian. Butts are in style. men and women. Men and women.
Men and women. As
Come on
Dr.
in.
Ray said, men and women, come on in. Well, this is Dr. Levi. Again, I want to thank you all for joining us today. This show, again, is about elevating you and reminding you to live your best possible life. Why? Because you are worthy just because you were born. Well, this is Dr. Levi. I really appreciate you. I'll see you next week. And remember, be kind to the veterans. Those men and women are the real heroes of America. And remember, you make a difference. Be aware of your choices and be aware of what you're thinking because you bring that into your life. Have a great week. It's Dr. Levi. Bye.